most effective interventions are behavioral. They have some attributes. First, they focus on current factors that influence behavior. Current, not the past. Sometimes the past is a barrier. Sometimes the past helps explain the current behavior, but you can't change the past. What are current risk factors? You don't have a job. You hang around with the wrong crowd. You think what you're doing is okay. You're impulsive as hell. Those are current risk factors. Versus what? Your father banned you when you were little. Okay, we can talk about that for a few weeks. Problem is, I can't change it. And so, behavioral interventions are very here and now focused. Second, it's action-oriented, not talk-oriented. And again, if you think about it, if I want to change somebody's behavior, and I've said this before, it's not easy to change somebody's behavior. If you think it is, try to change your own. It's a hard thing to do. So if I want to change your behavior, how might I go about it? Well, I could threaten you, scare you, try to do that. You think that's going to work with high-risk offenders? You're going to scare them out of the behavior? Probably not. I could educate you, right? Teach you how, teach you the wheel of violence and teach you how to do drug education. There's a good one, right? Take a bunch of felons that use drugs and educate them about drugs, right? It's always a dumbass idea when you think about it. Okay? I could try to get you some insight, let you develop some insight into your behavior. We could do a lot of talk therapy. Probably won't work. Or I could show you. And we could practice it, rehearse it, and I could coach you. Okay? That's probably the most effective way. And it is. And that's when I talk about action-oriented, that's what I mean. Okay? Offenders are actively engaged. They're practicing. They're learning new ways to behave. We're trying to change their behavior. And we have to teach them that. Okay? Not just talk to them about it, not just listen to them, not just tell them all the bad things that will happen to them. They already know that. And staff follow some core correctional practices. Why behavioral interventions? Because when we look at the data, we see much stronger effect sizes for behavioral interventions than we do non-behavioral interventions. And these are things like drug education and talk therapy and all those things that we've done for many, many years that sometimes work, but not with offenders. We take them from other fields and we apply them to this population, and they don't work with this population. Behavioral interventions, the strongest effects. These are core correctional practices. Everybody that works with offenders should be trained in these. Effective reinforcement, effective disapproval, use of authority, quality interpersonal relationships, how to develop them and keep them. Right? If you think I'm somebody that cares about you, you're much more likely to pay attention to me. Cognitive restructuring, retooling that thinking that they often have that gets them into trouble. Modeling appropriate behavior, structured social learning, and problem-solving techniques. I'll show you this after lunch. We're going to get into this a little more. All right, so what are the most effective behavioral models and corrections for adults? It's structured social learning, where new skills and behaviors are modeled. Cognitive behavioral approaches that target criminogenic risk factors. For kids, it includes family-based interventions. I didn't put that up, because I'm mainly here to talk about reentry, but there's a whole host of family-based interventions that have also been shown to be very effective. MST, FFT, strengthening families, a number of curriculums out there. Let's talk about social learning a little bit. Social learning is the process through which we acquire our attitudes, our behavior, and our knowledge from others. It is a very complex process. It's not a complex concept. It's an easy concept to understand. How many of you have children? How many of you turned into your parents when you had children? All right? You woke up one day, you're your mother. That's the last person you were going to be at 15, was your mother. All right? Trust me on that. I have 4. My youngest said one day when she's a parent, she's going to let her kids do whatever they want. I said, you go right ahead, Allie. You just be home at 10 o'clock. When I turned into my dad, I swore things I'd never say. You're born in a barn. You think money grows on trees? I give you something to cry about. That was my favorite one. My son said to me one day, I said to my son, do I look like Rockefeller? And he said, who the hell is this Rockefeller? I said, I'm sorry, do I look like Bill Gates? Social learning. Cognitive behavioral intervention. Thinking affects behavior. Antisocial, distorted, unproductive, irrational thinking can lead to antisocial and unproductive behavior. Thinking can be influenced. We can change how we feel and behave by changing what we think. Let's look. I know most of you are very familiar with it, but we have a few folks that probably don't know much about COG. So let's just look at a quick example of what I'm talking about. I'm on the interstate here in California. What's the speed limit, 65? So let's say the speed limit, you're going to Sacramento, and the speed limit's 65, and you look down and you were doing 75. Right? You were breaking the law. What are some of the thoughts that you have that allow you to break the law? I'm going with the flow. Right? That's why. Well, pardon? I'm late. I'm in a hurry. I'm late. My time's valuable. That's a more egocentric one. I won't get caught. I'm a safe driver. And why are we going like 75 and not 105, right?
That's only 10 of us.
We're in the 10-mile limit,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. The 10-mile limit. I love that one, yeah. 10-mile limit, so what else? Anything else?
Married to the law.
Huh?
Married to the law.
Oh, man, that's real criminal thinking here. I'll get out of it. I'll get out of it. I know people. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Some of us just like to drive fast, right? We're risk takers, all right? So we've got a bunch of thoughts, and this one really is going with the flow, is what everybody's doing, right? If I slow down, they'd run right over me, right? So we've got a bunch of thoughts that are what? Influencing our behavior. Everybody's doing it. What's the big deal? I'm in a hurry. I'm in the 10-mile limit. I won't get caught. You know, there's no state highway patrol in this area. So our behavior is being driven by some thoughts that we have. All right, so there you are. You're doing 75 up the interstate, and there in the middle of the road is the California State Highway Patrol. What is your first thought as you go by them? That's a behavior. What's your first thought? Oh, shit, your first thought. And you know what? No one is thinking I'm in the 10-mile limit. You're not so sure what that limit is anymore, right? All of a sudden, yeah. So that's your first thought. What else are you thinking now as you go by? Hope he didn't see me. Yeah. Hope he didn't see me. Who you hoping he sees? The other guy. That's the other guy. Some of you are moving the badge to the license, right? So, and some of you are thinking of excuses, right? Yeah, hope, right? So you're thinking, we hope, hope he didn't see me, hope he gets the other guy, right? How can I get out of this? What are the excuses I can make? All right, he pulls out, lights are on, pulls you over. It's quota week. All right? He's not interested in who you are. He's writing you the ticket. As he or she is writing you the ticket, what are you thinking? Huh? I don't deserve it, right? That's one. I don't deserve it. What is he? He's a jerk, right? What are we? We're the victim, right? We are unlucky. We got cut out of the herd, right? And you see that guy go by at 90, right? I mean, that's what we're, some of us are saying, I'm fighting this, right? Who's the judge of this guy, right? By the way, you think offenders think like that? It's just different behavior, right? When they get caught, who are they blaming? First the cops, then what are they? Unlucky. They're the victims. I should have done it a different way. They shouldn't, right? That's what they're thinking. They're not saying I shouldn't have done it, right? So here you are. You got your ticket, All right, you got your ticket, and you are 30 miles up the road, and you look down, and you're doing 75 again. Right? What are some of the thoughts that allow you to start speeding again? Huh? It can't happen twice. That's one. Right? Now I'm really late. You know what I always think? I'll be a smarter speeder next time. Right? I'll get behind trucks, or I won't daydream. I'll pay attention, look ahead. Right? I won't get caught next time. Right? I was foolish this time. I wasn't focused. Right? So I'll outsmart them. Right? By the way, you didn't even pay the ticket yet, and you're speeding again. So much for the punishment. Right? So, but here's a simple question. What are some thoughts that might get you to slow down a little bit? What's a thought?
Can't afford 2 tickets.
Cost, that's one. Right? Ticket, the cost, the points. Right? That's
Insurance.
one. If you're in a county car, that's not good. You know. So those things, that may get you to slow down. What's another thought that might get you? What's that? Yeah, that's part of the cost. What else? What's that? I gotta tell my spouse. What's that? You know what? I want to be a good role model for my kids. And they see you speed, they're going to drive just like you, right? So good role model. I didn't really save any time. Cost, insurance, plus gas, right? Less stressful if I'm not always rushing around, right? In other words, to get you to slow down here, all I have to do is get you to change how you think a little bit, right? This is what we call a cognitive restructuring problem. Right? The reason we call it that is because I don't have to teach you a skill. Anybody can back off the pedal. What I have to do here is to change a few thoughts. And it really is not as safe, if I get you to understand, it's not as safe to drive fast, more accidents. Any of those thoughts might get you to slow down. Most problems aren't that easy. I not only have to change your thoughts, I have to teach you how to do it. So that's why cognitive behavior really goes together. This is kind of the latest study. We'll do this and end up here. This is a study of COG. They found on average COG reduced recidivism 25%, but the most effective configurations found 50% reductions. And that's what I want you to focus on. What were those configurations? Sessions, at least 2 a week. That's a dosage issue. That's risk. Implementation was monitored. Staff were trained. That's fidelity. Higher proportion of completers. We call that responsivity, right? We have to get people through programs. And what do? You got to take barriers away. Sometimes it's simple stuff, transportation. They can't drive, right? We have to get them there. Sometimes we have to have flexible schedules and things. Because if they work all day, they can't go to group in the day, or vice versa, right? High risk, that's the risk principle. And higher if it's combined with other services. That's the need principle. Right? Remember, they're not high risk just because of a risk factor. So when you put them together, you've got your COG theories, you've got your social learning theories.